Here's your shot of the morning. This cop should be hitting the clubs instead of patrolling the streets. Just when you thought no one was looking, the officer began to bust a move. Lucky for us, the security camera caught.
This is
all
like
the action.
You know what? It's kind of like that. Remember the Pepsi ad or Coke ad during the Super Bowl? And then there's also
the dancing cadet.
Absolutely.
And he was on our show, by the way.
This is the cadet whose roommate suspected that he was busting a move. Meanwhile, you can see right there, that is a live picture of a man who just moments ago flashed to me the fact that he had a banana and he had
He's not afraid to use it.
He's been, hey, we got to tell the folks out there that are watching the history behind this guy. Before we even got on air, he was dancing in the window, and Steve was trying to talk to him.
He was here yesterday.
He was?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, here's the thing. What song? Can you ever, sometimes you can look at a guy dancing and can I picture which song he's dancing to?
I think it's
what
this
song would warrant that type of movement?
It isn't Itsy Bitsy
She's
Spider.
a brick house.
Yeah.
Possibly, Ainsley. That's a very good point. And clearly he's an official because he could throw a flag at any moment.
Yeah, just like that.
Hey, let me see your best moves, guys. Come on. Let's imitate him. Let's imitate him.
Yeah. This will be the time on the show I dance.
Come on, Joel. Joel's one of our camera operators. Come on, Joel.
Why Joel? Why are you pointing to Joel? Yeah, why are you pointing to Joel to dance?
Because I like Joel.
You do?
Joel can dance.
You don't really
party.
You don't know the Joel I know.
Hey,
Joel, do you show a part personality that we don't see here?
I love this. Wait, we gotta imitate this guy.
You know what? We'll just have to go out and talk to him.
Wait, I gotta see him. We gotta put him up next to
Okay,
you.
Ainsley wants to direct. She really just wants to.
Okay, I'm watching him out there.
Well, wait a second. Can we split the screen?
Wait a second.
Look, you are doing
This is good. He's taking off his visor.
Oh, wait a second. Want to move the table? Steve, move the table so she
Don't
can
pick it up by that.
You don't think so?
You'll break it off.
All right, we've had enough of Ainsley dancing.
Okay.
Obviously missed my calling, didn't I, guys?
I'm exhausted.
Hey, attention control room, no reason to do the Iraq story. We danced through
I'm
it.
the worst dancer, too. I cannot believe I did that. My parents at home were probably saying, I did not make cheerleading. I'm not flexible. I can't do any of that stuff.
You were cut from cheerleading? Your parents
I was cut from cheerleading. It was devastating.
Really? Did you cry?
I did cry.
Did your parents call the coach and sue?
Absolutely not. You know, my dad said, you know what? Someone else needed that spot. So I thought, yeah, that's
genius.
right.
Like
Someone else needed that spot.
And you
Stop crying and do some chores.
Thank you. I don't know about that. You don't know me that well.
Well, as she's going to do the news in just a minute, but first let her collect her breath.
I need to breathe.
See, let's just sit until she gets her breath.
No, you know what? I need to tell folks what's going to be on the telecast today. He has traveled across the globe to try to find his missing daughter, Madeline. We're going to talk to Jerry McCann, what he hopes to find here in the United States. He's been meeting with the missing and exploited children people down in Washington, D.C. Plus, it's like having a Hooters in your own backyard, except they're cutting the grass. We're going to meet the folks behind Bikini Lawn Care. This is a thriving business operated out of Memphis, Tennessee.
I think my neighbor did that growing up. All the men outside loved to drive by her house because she did that. She wore a bikini.
Was she for rent, like these girls are?
She was a beautiful lady, and she was gorgeous. She had kids, and she would get out there in a bikini and get some sun while she was...
Did she have a pool?
Maybe this is her business.
Did she have a pool?
All right, look.
Did she have a pool?
Like, why would she be in a bathing suit?
To get some sun.
Yeah.
Hey, she was out there cutting the grass.
How big was her lawn?
In the news this morning, a terror trial kicks off today in Texas, of all places. A charity's accused of raising about $36 million for groups tied to Hamas. The government claims organizers funneled millions of dollars to militants. The foundation insists the money went to aid poor Palestinians. The UK still reeling from its worst flooding in 60 years. Emergency workers plucking hundreds from the rising water that's covered much of central England. The flooding knocking out power as well as drinking water to hundreds of thousands of people in that area. It's forced thousands to evacuate. Thankfully, no deaths or serious injuries have been reported at this point. The pilot of a World War II plane makes an emergency landing on a Wisconsin highway. Steve, this is your story. You've been fascinated with this. All right, well, William left of Dayton, Ohio. He was out for a routine flight when his plane suddenly developed engine problems.
And so we turned towards the Fond du Lac Airport, which was nearby, but it was just out of reach. so elected to land on the highway.
The right wing of the plane, it did hit a couple of the road signs, but police say no one was injured in that story either, so that's good news. All right, a brazen bandit trashes a middle school after stealing thousands of dollars worth of music equipment. Police say the video shows the suspect letting loose with a fire extinguisher. Apparently, this isn't the first time that school's been robbed. A similar burglary was caught on tape last month, and police think the same person's responsible for both of those burglaries. And those, my friends, are your headlines.
All right, fantastic. Now it's time for some business news on this Tuesday. Walmart
magnet, not pictured right here. That's Ainsley looking down.
Oh, sorry.
Can send
Hey.
email, pictures, news, and stock reports. The devices should be available a little bit later this year.
Okay,
There you go.
and now your business news. Cue the music. Let's hear that. The price for a cup of Joe at Starbucks is going up, guys. The chain says that it's rising prices for coffee and other freshly made drinks in most of its U.S. stores. It's going to cost you some money. Company says the 9-cent price hike is apparently due to the rising cost of dairy products, energy, as well as fuel. Okay, so what does this mean for you if you drink coffee every day? How much is this going to cost you over the next year? Well, apparently 9 cents a day. Are we going to talk about this later, or should I talk about it now?
I'd rather you not talk about it at all.
All right, 9 cents a day. So you don't want us to talk about it? You don't drink Starbucks?
I am not interested.
All right.
I just think that if you're going to invest in Starbucks, you're not worried about a dime.
Well, okay.
Right?
All right, well, that's how my mom feels. She says, why buy coffee when you can make it at home? It's like, why buy bottled water?
Because you get to talk to people in smocks who are happy you're there. They have great attitudes at Starbucks. Am I right, Steve?
They have great attitudes. I go over every day for a nice coffee during the summer.
Right. And they're warm. They're glad you're there.
They're nice folks.
Nice
Ainsley, we're gonna meet a guy who went to 171 Starbucks in 24 hours here in New York City. He drank a coffee in every spot. And in fact, he had to bribe one of the employees for a piece of cake, but it was 5 minutes too late. So he paid the employee $80 for a piece of cake. He's gonna come by.
A 7-year-old is raped and molested, and the judge lets the suspect go. Why? Because they couldn't find the guy, a translator, who is responsible for finding an interpreter.
That's a great question. Mercedes Colvin is a defense attorney and Fox News legal analyst. She joins us live. Good morning to you, Mercedes.
Great to see you both.
Mercedes, the story, oh, it's so upsetting.
It's unbelievable, but I have to tell you, I mean, how could they not find a translator? Washington Post found a translator in an afternoon, and it took them 2.5 years, almost 3 years to do so.
There's the guy. There's a picture of the guy from one of his annuals. Now, here's the thing. He spoke English in school. He went to high school in the United States. He went to community college here in the United States. He talked to the cops in English. Mercedes, it sounds like this guy wound up with a defense attorney who said, you know what, because you speak such a rare form of this language, I'm going to game the system. And in fact, if this guy couldn't speak English, Mercedes, how did the guy talk to his own lawyer?
But that's amazing, and that's a great question, because here is, and you're absolutely right, he has all this education. He's been able to communicate with law enforcement and detectives. But here's the thing. The state appointed a psychiatrist. He was evaluated by psychiatrists. Suddenly the psychiatrist says, no, he needs a translator to understand the nuances of the laws. But that's incredible to think that, because what nuances are there? You know there might be jail time. You know there's going to be bail. That all of these issues could easily been explained to him, but certainly that's what the psychiatrist said, and that's what they held it.
He's a Liberian native, but went to school in the United States, so he does speak English. In fact, Fox News talked to a guy on Sunday who says that he had a 5-minute conversation with this guy, all in English, plain English.
Well, what happened is, though, the judge relied on the psychiatrist. Once the psychiatrist came forward and said he needs a translator, that's what they kept doing. But if there's anybody to blame, look at the prosecution's office. How is it that you could not find
a translator
if someone else could?
I heard on the radio last night, Mercedes, that apparently when the judge dismissed these charges, there was a translator there.
Oh, sure. During that particular hearing. So we'll have to see what happens. So although there's a good appeal, there's a good chance they'll appeal, and maybe they'll resurrect the charges.
Mercedes Colvin, we thank you very much for joining us live this morning.
Thanks so much.
Mercedes.
All right, 11 minutes before the top of the hour, straight ahead, fast-moving wildfires sweep across Utah and California. Have the best-looking lawn on the block.
At least for that hour when they're mowing it.
That's all. Ainsley, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome. I've loved it. It's been so
day.
much fun. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, straight ahead on Fox and Friends. Gretchen's